We got 4 check marks. Let's get the Broncos Facebook group up and going here. And all right, there we go. Welcome in, guys, to another episode of Broncos for Breakfast. It is Tuesday morning at 8:01 Mountain Time, and I am joined by my co-host and good friend, Scott Kennedy. Scott, how are you doing this fine Tuesday morning?
I'm doing good. Getting soggy down here, though.
Oh, no.
I think we swapped areas.
Yeah.
There's too much like Nick Scott synergy going on because we've turned into Seattle. It's 80 and rainy every day, pretty much every day, which is nice and cool. It's definitely cooled off, but it's been raining all of July.
Man, we could use some of that rain. We've had no measurable rain in like 40 days or something. So that's the secret about the Pacific Northwest. It rains a lot from November to May, but in the summer, dry, which scary for the wildfires. But we'll see. Hoping for the best there. But yeah, guys, welcome in to Broncos for Breakfast. It is Tuesday morning. We see you guys every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. The show is hosted by myself, Nick Kendell, along with Scott Kennedy. You can find us both on Twitter at Nick Kendell MHH, as well as at Scout Kennedy. And while you're over on Twitter, make sure you follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Following those accounts can make sure you're not missing any of these episodes as they come out. Also, guys, if you're joining us today on Facebook, first off, click those thumbs up, heart reacts, care reacts, the wow, angry reacts sometimes. We'll take them all. We like the interaction there. And while you're on Facebook, make sure you go follow us at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. We appreciate all you Facebook listeners, you stars, everybody that contributes in that way. However, our number one means of viewership is definitely YouTube. And if you guys are joining us on YouTube today, please subscribe, like, and share. And while you're over there, also make sure you check out Scott's channel at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. I'm dropping his link in the chat as well. So you guys just literally have to click on that. It'll take you to his channel. We are, weeks away from training camp really being here, real football, the most meaningful football we've had so far. So that's really exciting. And but what else is exciting, Scott? Our first super chat of the day coming in from Robert Ruibel coming in here. Ruibel. Let me know.
That's a good try. Yeah, that might be right. Maybe you can help us with the phonetics on that, Robert.
But he says, good morning to Broncos country and to our awesome hosts, Nick and Scott. Well, thank you so much, Robert. Also want to give a shout out to Broncos 17-0 as we were closing the chat, the live stream last Thursday. He had a $20 super come in about probably 30 seconds after we hit the end broadcast button. So thank you, Broncos 17-0. We saw you. We appreciate you. And let's get to some of these other comments here going on. We got in the shop with Willie saying I'd rather not eat breakfast. Well, it's the most important meal of the day. So you should probably
lunch before I skip breakfast.
100%. Yeah, that's you don't want to get your glycogen storage too low. Then you're going to feel really bad. It's really hard to replenish your glycogen also. So come on, guys. Breakfast is important. We got DBA in the house as well. Good morning, everyone, and go Broncos. Mike Gibbons is in here, says good morning, Nick and Scott and Broncos country. EJ in the house too. Good morning, Nick and Scott and Broncos country, saying the same. And he's also saying, I'm hungry. What's for breakfast? We're going to talk some linebackers today, of course. Oh, and he said, Robert said, 8 kick. He meant Nick. You got the 8 in there. That's okay. Don't worry about it. I've been called worse. We got Facebook users saying, sup guys from Long Beach, go Broncos. Dave Glassman's in the house too. Good to see you, Dave.
Spent a lot of time in Long Beach. I'm a big fan.
Is that California?
Yeah. It's going down the beaches. It's on your way down to like Hermosa and I mean, not Hermosa, but Huntington and Orange County and stuff. So it's kind of in between. Very nice. We were members of the aquarium there. Very nice aquarium in Long Beach.
I need to get down to the Seattle Aquarium.
And frankly, one of the funniest men ever, Richard Pryor, did a stand-up from Long Beach that was recorded. So it helped shape my youthful years. It explains a lot. I was raised by Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor.
Greg Smith in the house. Good morning, fellas. Greg,
aloha.
Aloha. There you go. Shane Daniels. Shane, I feel like it's been a second. How you doing? Good morning. Good go Broncos. Falling Sloth. I don't recognize this name. I think I would because I love sloths. Costa Rica. We were talking about it earlier. Cafe. God, what's the name of that?
Cafe Brit.
Brit. Yes, I went there as well. I got my grandparents a coffee mug from there. Fallen Sloth. Good morning. Go Broncos. We got Juan in the house too. Broncos need to get Aaron Rodgers. Give us a 4th Lombardi. I wish. My mother's coming in here. Hello, mom. Hello, mom. Good morning from Missouri. Hopefully things are doing well in the state of misery, as my uncle likes to say down there. Hopefully you guys are doing well and having fun. And Dave Glassman saying, jumpstart your metabolism with Broncos for breakfast. So, Scott, let's get into it. We wanted to talk linebackers today as like the main topic, but you texted me this morning about another topic that I think is quite pertinent, and that was ESPN's future rankings that they released. A lot of their NFL writers like Jeremy Fowler, Field Yates, a few more wrote a ranking list of the best rosters in the NFL going forward. And I believe the perspective is the next 3 seasons.
Next 3 years, which I think is a really cool idea. But then it felt like it was a 2021 power ranking. It didn't feel like they did a lot of forward thinking based on coaching and youth of rosters and salary cap situations. So I was excited. I wasn't surprised to see where the Falcons were. That's how my friend sent it to me. I was like, they were 26. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. They're in salary cap hell, 36-year-old quarterback. The future it's a rebuild. In 3 years, hopefully the Falcons should be pretty good. But the Broncos were just a 24th. And all the answers were the same things. It was all, Drew Lock, quarterback. I'm like, well, you should be able to address that position in 3 years, right? And if everything else is good, including the salary cap situation, 24th seems awfully low to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to how important that quarterback position is. Let's say hello to a few more people coming in here. Mo Ron, always want to say it that way because I want to emphasize it. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Shane Daniels, also good to see you again. Doing well, been working out of the country. Been watching, though. Well, Shane, glad to have you here in the comment section and the community as well. But thank you for watching while you're out of the country. Kenneth Lee asking, what's the chance Rodgers comes to Denver? I think it's probably a dice roll right now, right? Like you have to land a 6 on a dice roll. That's probably about what it's at. And if we're talking 2021, 2022, we'll reset there. And here we go. Fallen Sloth. He says he's been around since the Huddle Up was pre-recorded. To have given you a shout out as a fellow epidemiologist, but all good. Much love. Okay, Fallen Sloth. I knew you sounded familiar, but I wasn't 100% sure. I'm like, that name. Because we got the pooping hippo as well, right? So we got the Fallen Sloth and the pooping hippo. So we're getting all the fun animals.
It's a very animal friendly pod.
Absolutely. The dog's in the kennel over here being good. So let's keep it that way. Gary Leeds Palmer coming in, our Facebook superstar, always coming in with the stars. Broncos for breakfast is my favorite. Thank you so much, Gary. That's really nice of you to say. And he says, hi, Nick and Scott. Well, hello to you, Gary. It's always great to see you. And you're always so generous. So we really appreciate you coming in. But yeah, let's get into it. I think, so the Broncos, let's, should I share it? Is that the way to do it? It's because it's up and down. I guess that's the way. That's probably the best way to go about it. Can you guys see that? Is that way too small?
It's a little small. It's a little small, but we can get the overall. So they ranked. If you didn't see this, a group of 4 ESPN writers, as Nick was saying, they put together the futures power rankings, and they ranked all the teams 1 to 32 based on what their next 3 years should look like. And the Denver Broncos, the Chiefs were sitting at number 1. Okay, I can deal with that. Great young quarterback, couple of Super Bowls. But the Broncos came in at 24, which seemed low to me. Well, and you see at least why they look there. For me, if I look at where the Broncos came in lowest right there at quarterback and coaching, those two should fix themselves within 12 months.
Yeah.
Because if the Broncos fail, they're going to change coaches and they're going to change quarterbacks flat out, so in 3 years, it'll look completely different. Right. So then are you rebuilding or do you get a new coach bounce or whatnot? But, I don't think the quarterback situation at the Broncos this year is the worst in the league. Do you? I don't, with Teddy coming in, Drew either steps up or you at least move up 10, 12 spots with Teddy to the mid 20s, low 20s, maybe even high teens. And with this roster, high teens will get you in the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess it has as much to do with the future impact of Teddy Bridgewater. 1-year contract. If you roll with him, you're really capped. And how little faith everybody outside of Denver has in Drew Lock. I mean, I know there's some in Denver who will, sing his praises, and there's definitely reason to be have some hope for him to keep that candle lit. But people outside of Denver just do not have any faith in Drew Lock. I think he's the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. A lot of people say that, and don't hold back. So 32 out of 32 might be rough. But if you're looking at it at a 3-year perspective, I think it's actually pretty close. The Broncos have one of the worst quarterback rooms in that sort of perspective, based on what we know right now. There's a lot of unknowns.
Okay, so here's my question. Then where do you put Tampa? Where do you put Tampa Bay? For 3 years. Okay. I mean, in 3 years, what's Tampa Bay's quarterback situation going to look like? Again, this is a 3-year look, and the quarterback, you have to rank everybody. So, okay, I think right now the quarterback situation, but when I'm looking at overall, the overall roster minus QB at 12, really?
Yeah.
All right. So again, I think the idea was there, but I feel like it's short-sighted. Again, I guarantee you that Tampa is not sitting at 30 based on the fact that they better have a new quarterback in 3 years.
Yeah. Alex Guerrero, his trainer, just came out today saying that Tom Brady wants to play another 2 seasons. So 2 or 3 years of Tom Brady, or maybe 3 years of Drew Lock / Teddy Bridgewater. I think I'd probably take 2 years of Tom Brady at what it is.
Right. But you're wondering about it. And in 3 years, what is he going to be, 45?
Yes, that's what he wants to play to.
45. You want a 45-year-old quarterback? Is that going to put you top of the league? Hell, maybe. 42-year-old just won the Super Bowl. I mean, who's to say? But again, I think it's short-sighted for the overall picture to say, the quarterback situation. All right, well, if we're that bad, we should be able to improve in the draft, right?
You'd hope so.
So if we're this bad, if we're going to be 24th, I should be able to get my quarterback of the future next year. So again, short-sighted for me, but I'm overly obsessive about these type of things. But that's why I like getting into them a little bit about the why it might be right, why it might be wrong, just because. And Shane says, there's a couple of universal truths among fans. The media hates us, and the refs are screwing us. That's everybody. So I don't take that one. And the ones that are the darlings of the media, they get hit the most because bad news sells just as much. So whoever you think is a favorite,
Cowboys,
they like to take down too. So it's a universal truth amongst fans. And the announcers are biased. The announcers are biased too. That was the third one. I knew I had 3. The media's out to get us. The announcers are biased, and the refs are killing us.
Yep, every year. Anything that you hear is perceived as potential slight is taken that way by the fans. It's hyper emotional. That's what makes it fun, but to also, throw logic and reason out the window sometimes. Mark Gallegos coming in and saying Drew Lock is a very bad quarterback. He was a bad quarterback last year. Doesn't mean he will be this year. So hopefully we'll see that turn around. Wanna Beast, hello, Bona, saying Josh Freeman, Kansas State pride, guy that did not sounded like he didn't work very hard. Poopy and Hippo also coming in talking about all these animals. Good morning, Beast. And we
got a sloth, a hippo, and a beast.
There we go.
It's like a Disney film in here. Broncos and Disney for breakfast.
You know what? If Disney wants to sponsor this stream, then by all means, put us on the platform, baby. Disney Plus. Fallen Sloth coming in here saying a lot of people on the outside don't recognize the talent of our skill pieces because you have to watch a lot of bad Broncos football to see how good they are. I think that's part of it. I also think part of it is how dependent they are on the quarterback position, right? Wide receivers.
It's all synergetic. It's all connected there.
Yep.
We've talked about the better quarterback play makes everybody better. Everybody.
Yep. Yes, I mean, it raises all ships. That's what good quarterbacks are supposed to do. And if you're like ranking the Broncos, if you're ranking any team's roster, how good the quarterback should be like 35 to 40% of the overall score of the roster. That's just how important it is. So to see the Broncos honestly ranked 24th, despite having the 32nd ranked quarterback, that might be a little high for me. If you're like just going off of these rankings themselves, given how valuable the quarterback position is. Now, it's not a guarantee that you're going to win football games. You can have an amazing quarterback and just an absolute craptastic roster around them, and they can fail, just like the Houston Texans did this last year with Deshaun Watson. But more often than not, that raises the floor tremendously. So unfortunately, that's where we are with how the league and media perceives this Broncos team. Talented, young, exciting.
Let's Nick hit on that coaching score then. 29th coaching staff in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know somebody's got to finish at the bottom, but that seems a little harsh.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit Falling Sloth talking about epidemiology earlier. One of my favorite epidemiological concepts is correlation, and there is massive correlation here between the quarterback position and the coaching staff. Going through these rankings, scrolling through them, Buddy sent me a list of this. Almost all of the coaching and quarterback rankings were almost exactly the same. They were neck and neck. So, you might as well roll them into one with how they ranked them on this list. So I think that also is like, how stable is your coaching position and how long their staying power, how good are they going to be? Directly tied to or correlated to the quality of the quarterback play. So while the Broncos are 29th, I think it also has to do with how unstable and how much all these guys are on a hot seat because the quarterback play has been bad. And without the quarterback play, they're going to be gone.
Well, and you've heard me say before, more at the college level than the pro level, but at the college level, it's the position I'd rather have the coach than the player, because the system, if you're in a good system, Oklahoma's churning out QBs. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily matter who the quarterback is at Oklahoma, he's going to be successful. Just the way that system's set up. Sending them to a bad offensive coordinator, somewhere like that, and the best quarterback in the world isn't going to succeed. He could have all the tools in the world. So again, I agree with you 100% that a lot of these are interlinked, and then it becomes a chicken and the egg a little bit. And I think the player is definitely more important on the NFL level because the coaching should be elite. It should be the best of the coaches, as opposed to, another 60 coaches down the line in the college ranks. But yeah, you're right. They're tied hand in hand for a reason.
Yeah, and the other ones, I'm not sure how exactly they came up with the rankings, but to see the draft at 19th, the front office at 19th, I'm not sure where they're getting this draft ranking from. I think the Broncos have had some pretty darn good drafts recently. Obviously, as you can see, based on the overall roster being 12th, you're not going to have overall roster minus the quarterback being 12th if the draft isn't as bad. But
yeah, and you haven't brought in a ton of big name free agents.
Nope, it's
young, good, free agency. So again, you're right on that. And on top of that, look at the salary cap room. You're poised to strike. You're coiled and ready to strike with all that salary cap room. That's a good thing, right? So I got the 12th best roster with the most salary cap room in the league, and my front office is ranked in the bottom half. Come on now.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's more just how uncertain a lot of people are with this Broncos roster in general, how young they are, and also the front office being brand new. And so that's what it is, in my opinion. But we'll see. And let's see what is being said here. The Broncos have one of the league's best defenses, filled with talent and feisty competitors, a wide receiver group that is drenched with possible stardom, and a dynamic tight end. The missing link, however, is a quarterback who can be counted on right now as the long-range answer, Drew Locks. And let me pull up the next one here. Stall. There we go. Oh, no, is that the wrong one? God damn it. Well, Drew Lock is...
That's the bottom one. So there were four contributors, and that was the bottom two right there.
Okay. Well, anyway, here's the next one. They're talking about Drew Lock struggling, and then what do they say next? What could change for Denver for the better? Denver has a receiving core that's enticing to the future quarterbacks if Lock is not the answer. Another signal caller will have no problem throwing to Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and maybe Tim Patrick. Many around the league believe Deshaun Watson was intrigued by Denver before facing a league investigation into sexual assault allegations against him. That's Jeremy Fowler. Stat to know, Judy's career got off to a rocky start. No receiver recorded fewer completed air yards over expectation in 2020 than Jeudy at minus 188. In other words, based on the targets Jeudy received, we'd expect an average wideout to have recorded 188 more receiving yards through the air alone. And that's from Matt Walder, I believe the name is. And that's a quarterback. Air yards, what is it? Receiving yards over expectation is a quarterback stat showing that how often they are receiving bad throws. Like the throws themselves are actually of poor quality. So hopefully that'll positive regress next year for Jeudy.
Yeah, it's almost like they're calling out Jeudy on that. And I know that the Broncos fans have said that Jeudy struggled a little bit, but there's momentum that gets built when your quarterback play. When players are playing well and you get into a rhythm, good plays just start happening. People start playing better. And when you're playing poorly, you don't get in that rhythm, mistakes compound themselves. So again, all I keep reading in here is they're 24th because they're a quarterback. They're 24th because they're a quarterback. They're not going to get another quarterback. They may never, ever get another quarterback. And then the quarterback.
Yep.
It was, I don't know. I like the idea, and I can nitpick a lot of these things, but I thought a little of that was just a little lazy. Lazy.
Oh, and I got it corrected now. True Locks, inconsistent start to his career, casts more questions than answers about his future. The team bypassed 2 first-round quarterbacks at pick 9 this year. If Denver gets its hands on a quarterback solution, watch out from Fields Yates. And again, you're talking about it, the quarterback position. This is from Lewis Riddick. Biggest worry, I'm surprised that Denver did not address the quarterback position in the draft. While the Broncos have nice pieces at tight end and receiver, they are continually building the offensive line. Miners was a steal in the draft this year. They are not going to make up sustainable ground on the Chiefs in the AFC West until QB is a strength rather than a weakness. There we are again. It's all this, and it's beating a dead horse at this point. But the quarterback position has been dreadful for the Broncos, and until it's fixed, they're going nowhere fast. It's kind of
and that's the question on that, Nick. When you start talking, it's like, oh, well, it should be an easy fix. Just get a quarterback. Well, you tell me, when was the last time Denver had plus quarterback play?
14.
Okay, so we're going on 7 years now. So it's not in a 3-year look ahead. It's not that easy.
Nope.
And I think sometimes the long-term quarterbacks, Matt Ryan, their staying power ends up getting them a little bit more resentment. There was a saying in college football, coaches said you lost 10% of your support every year. Every year you'd lose about 10% of your support, unless you're winning constantly, but that doesn't happen for everybody. So when you're going on 7 years with negative quarterback play, then looking forward 3 years saying, okay, it's just magically going to get better. I get that. I do. But again, I still think that overall ranking is a little low. And I think the front office ranking is definitely low when you talk about the roster. It's like we got built the 12th best roster and have the most salary cap room. Man, that's an A+ for me. That's an A+ for me.
Honestly, the one that gives me the most makes me the most upset is ranking the Broncos roster 12th outside of the quarterback position, because I think they should be in the top 10. This isn't close to an average roster outside the quarterback position. I mean, what holes do they really have on this team? I mean, you could have a star linebacker, a star interior defensive lineman. Sure, get in line. You could have a better right tackle. That's probably the biggest hole on this team outside of the quarterback position.
A little extra depth on the front three, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But other than that, I mean, this roster is ready to take off. And Fields Yates said it, like, if this Broncos gets this quarterback situation figured out, watch out. That doesn't sound like a team that has the 12th best roster outside of the quarterback position. I think they're probably closer to the top 7 than they are 12th, as far as when you're looking at outside of the quarterback position.
Yeah, and so let's split that in half and say just AFC and cut it in half and say it was 6th. Would 6th in the AFC sound about right, or is that still too low? Do you think it's a 3 or 4 to get into that top 10 in the AFC?
Well, let's play the counting game. I'd say the Broncos have a better roster than the Chiefs outside the quarterback position, but Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. So are we counting quarterbacks here or not? I mean, you have to, right? The Bills, the Browns, the Ravens, those are all teams that stand out to me. The AFC South, I think the Broncos can go toe-to-toe with any team in the AFC South this year. I probably would put the Titans above them, but I really think the Broncos defense is good enough to hang with the Colts, the Titans. Texans are going to be bad. Jags, I'm not expecting anything yet from them. Cincinnati, I don't respect yet. Steelers are regressing quickly.
Jaguars should be relegated.
Yeah. They got Lawrence now. They'll be fine.
I wish there were tiers instead of this Marxist system we have in the U.S. and we could relegate teams out and promote teams that want to succeed. I really do. Anyway, go on.
But I really think you'd probably put them in the top. They should be in the top six in the AFC. I'd say that's pretty easily looking through the teams. There's only a few teams that are obviously better than them talent-wise. Browns, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs. Those are the ones that I look at the roster and it's like, oh yeah, no dib. They're more talented than Broncos. But other than that, the Broncos should be punching with the rest of them. It's just that 32 out of 32 ranking for the quarterback position. It's like having a car. You have the best wheels in the world. You got a nice leather interior, new headlamps, great sound system. You don't have a goddamn engine. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere without the quarterback position. It's just, sorry. Matt Henry coming in on Facebook. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, please click the hearts or the thumbs up. Matt did give us a heart, so thank you, Matt. Gary Leeds Palmer also, and my mom. Thanks, Mom. Shout out, Mom. Good morning, everyone. Stoked for the show. So Aaron Rodgers has just turned down an extension. Do you think he would pick up he would pick Denver if he's a free agent next year. I think the Aaron Rodgers contract goes through 2023, so he would not be a free agent next year. You can get that one out of there. But it's possible. It's definitely possible. And Robert coming in here, will any of you guys attend the Mile High Huddle meetup in September? I'm not sure I will. We have some friends coming out that are doing a bachelorette party thing. So I think that falls on the exact same weekend. But I know a lot of people are. So we'll see. But I need to get out to Denver at some point. EJ, speaking the truth here, it's a quarterback-driven league, and we don't have an elite quarterback to win consistently.
Yeah, and Rodgers' contract says it runs through 2023, so he's got 3 years left on it, including this year.
Yep. So he'll have to be traded, which I think it gets a lot easier for them to trade him after this year. So we'll be looking for that as well. Here we go, Aaron Lynch. I'm assuming the meetup will be in Seattle for a Seattle-Denver preseason game. Cool. I'll be there. Maybe, Aaron. I'm definitely going to go to I know the Broncos play at Seattle for a regular season game in 2022. So mark me down for that one in Sharpie. I'm going to that one for sure. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Moron saying the Broncos have played like a dead horse for a number of years now. Hey, there's been some fun going on there. It's just, can't start your engine if you don't have an engine. Shane Daniels coming in. I have a gut feeling Locke is going to significantly improve. I never had this feeling with Lynch or Simeon. Well, Shane, I hope you are correct. And Buana giving a shout out here. Schlottman Fever was great last night, and good to see a Broncos player come on. Thanks to Buana for getting a player on. And here we go.
And Nick, we go back, and thanks, Greg. Aloha. Go back to the, even if Drew Lock doesn't significantly improve, Teddy Bridgewater is an improvement over last year's Drew Lock. So the quarterback play should significantly improve. Even if you get to just below average, that's a significant improvement. That's a good thing. No, it's like, well, the quarterback play was below average. But below average is better than god awful. Just always improve. If we're always get better, you're going in the right direction. So I just don't see a scenario where you're in 30, 31, 32 in quarterback play this year unless both of them get hurt. I don't know. I don't see it this year.
Are we underrating
Teddy? That bet with Teddy.
Is this more of a just how underrated Teddy is, or is it because they're completely writing Teddy off given he's this is his fourth team? It's only a 1-year contract.
I think it's because he's on a 1-year deal. Yeah. He's on a 1-year deal, and then we're looking at 3, and this isn't a thing, which is why I brought up Tom Brady. It's like, well, then what's Tampa's quarterback ranking for a guy who's 72 years old? Well, that guy just won the Super Bowl. I know, but he is going to be 45 at the end of 3 years. That's why I brought up Tampa on that, because I guarantee you Tampa's quarterback rating is at worst top 10, but they're probably 5th. And they got Tom Brady, but Tom Brady at the end of that time will be 45. So they're discounting. Again, it's contradictory because all they're talking about is Drew Lock for 3 years. But then they're ranking it based on what he did last year, and they're not taking into the account that if you are this bad, you could draft a guy and get your quarterback of the future. It's like, well, they passed on the quarterback of the future, so therefore their quarterback position sucks. So they're going to suck again. Yeah. Well, then you could draft the quarterback of the future for the next 3 years, right? So I don't know. I get fired up about these things. There's too many contradictions in there for me.
Yeah, I guess neither of us would have passed on Justin Fields if we were sitting there as the decision maker for the Broncos. And I don't know if you just saw really tuned in.
Justin Fields would have gotten past the Jets if I was at 2. I would have taken him 2nd overall. Yeah,
me too. Especially watching Zach Wilson's mom on her Instagram. But anyway, that's another story. God. But
there's a lot of mom talk today.
Yeah, right.
It's a lot of mom. It's like Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Every day is Mother's Day.
Shout out to the moms out there. Bronco mom's the best. But Justin Fields, I don't know if you saw Mike Kliss, or if you know who Mike Kliss is. I worked for Channel 9 News for the Broncos. He's probably one of the most dialed in Broncos insiders there are, but he wrote a piece that came out yesterday that was very much a hedging of the bets, hedging bets with the Broncos quarterback position, where it sounded like, well, we did actually like all these quarterbacks, but it just wasn't the right one at the time. And kind of just really like, it's almost like an beforehand. Like maybe we know what's coming. Justin Fields, there's already murmurs of how good he looks over there in Chicago, and just kind of prepping everybody for that reality. We'll see.
We'll see. It's still a rookie quarterback, and every rookie quarterback is a bust until they're not.
Yeah.
They've got a lot to prove, but I don't know. I had this feeling. I mean, I'm watching him, and I just, knowing what a competitor he is and knowing the skill set he is and the drive, I just have this feeling that Justin Fields is going to be a star. And to pass on him when you need a quarterback, and it wasn't just him, it wasn't just the Broncos. There was more than one team that did it, but good for him that the Bears, didn't just, oh, well, he fell into their laps. Then you're a little resentful, and that can play on you for a while. The Bears proved how much they wanted Justin Fields, and that makes you feel good as a person and as a player to go in and say, this team really wanted me. I'm stoked. I can't wait. I'm excited to be a Chicago Bear instead of I'm pissed off that I fell to the 30th position and I'm going to the Washington football team where I'll be out of football in 3 years.
Yeah. But it is what it is. And hopefully the 2022 class isn't as bad as many prognosticators are saying in comparison to 2021 if the Broncos are in a position to go after a quarterback. But we'll see. We'll see. So either way, it's interesting to see how they rank this Broncos team. Unfortunately, a lot of it just keeps coming back to the quarterback position. I know that a lot of people are tired with this conversation. It's kind of almost become a culture war of sorts. If you don't believe, you're a hater, or if you believe it all, you're an idiot. That's we don't know what's going to happen. All we can do is go based on the what is it? What do they say? The best way to predict future performance is past performance. And Drew Lock was terrible last year. that's the reality, and that's what we have to go on. So
and I use a lot of baseball analogies or CrossFit, and they say at the end of the day, you are the back of the card is who you are. That's what you're going to get. You may have some ups and downs, but that's you are. But we don't have a lot of track record with Drew Lock. He's got 18 starts. So he doesn't have 5 or 6 years. With Teddy, we know what we're going to get. It's going to be middle of the pack. Middle of the pack would be an improvement for this team. That's why he's there.
Yeah.
But we got 18 starts with Drew Lock. We don't know for sure what we've got with Drew Lock out there. So there is still that hope. And that's one of my favorite words, Shawshank Redemption. My daughter's middle hope. That's how important it is to sport fans. The draft, recruiting is hope. There's still hope that Drew Lock is going to step up. And while you still have hope, this is a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they're starting on a roof next door. I can't escape, Scott. My last apartment I lived in, or the house I lived in, they're working on units next door, and they're like, oh, we're going to be working on the roof next door. Now it's like you can't escape construction. So hopefully my mic is keeping all that banging out. I did want to actually touch on one point here and just dig on your thoughts here. You're talking about Drew Lock with 18 starts. When you evaluate these players, do you completely put their college career and draft status in a vacuum, or is that also part of the evaluation? Because Drew Lock, while he has only 18 NFL starts, he had 50 starts in the SEC.
It's part of the evaluation, but again, it's so much system. You talk about guys, otherwise, you look at these guys coming out of college, and so much is dependent on their system, and the stats don't necessarily translate. So you're still looking at the big things. Touchdown interception ratio, completion percentage. But even that, Case Keenum might have been the best statistical quarterback ever. And frankly, when that year that he had that huge year at Houston, I said, well, they're just flat out not going to ever give the Heisman to a non-Power 5 guy again because he should have gotten it based on his numbers. So you don't necessarily look at the stats like you would baseball, but you have to really scout a quarterback to see how they look when it matters, and then move on to the next level. They develop at different times. They develop at different pace and different speeds. Some are ready to go and hit the ground running. Some take a little more time. So there is no one right answer, but I'm not worried so much about what he did in college if you liked what you saw out of him enough to take him in the second round.
Yeah, no, absolutely good point. Sean coming in here with a comment over on YouTube. Guys, if you're joining us on YouTube today, please like, subscribe, and share. And also go find Scott's page over at Scott Kennedy. I'm going to drop his link again here. So you guys can just click that and find that if you're joining us on YouTube today.
Just in case, now's another time to say to Broncos 17-0 in case he came in a little late.
Yes.
Because we got him late. So just another thank you again. We did see that super come in as we were hitting the exit button. And on Thursday, today's Tuesday, right? All days kind of start running together. Last Thursday as we were getting out. So thank you again. We didn't miss it, and just wanted to make sure we highlighted that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Broncos 17-0. We'll be looking for you at the end of the show today as well. But Sean says Locke plays well. We happy. He plays poorly, and we get a new coach. We happy. I'll be happy if Locke plays well. I'll be honest, I won't be happy if the Broncos, if he plays poorly and you have to reset again, because that just means you're pushing back your window again, right? It's just the same conversation. Oh, George Payton gets a redshirt year. Oh, it's Vic Fangio's first season. Oh, it's a new quarterback. It's just year after year, it's pushing back expectations. Like, oh man, next year is going to be the year. It's not this year. We're building this year. At some point, it's got to be like, here we are. What are we doing? You can't be in a rebuild 5 years after.
You guys should have been Atlanta sports fans. I mean, the motto in the South in Atlanta for all sports was "Wait till next year."
That sounds like the Chicago Cubs.
That's what we lived on. It was like bumper stickers, like free beer tomorrow. Wait till next year.
Yeah, God, it's at some point you got to go, right? You cannot just sit idly by. Dylan saying, make sure you guys hit that like button. Thank you very much, Dylan, for being a supporter and joining us today. Corey coming in with a comment here. We should not assume that Drew Lock will improve. There is a possibility that he never reaches his, quote, potential or, quote, ceiling. Teddy is much more of a known quantity and theoretically a safer bet. Well, I think based on a lot of the data surrounding Drew Lock, it would be shocking if you didn't see him improve, given, just how last year, what a weird year it was. The 18 starts talking about a young roster, losing his number one weapon. The offensive line, in theory, should be better. I mean, the Broncos had not only bottom three quarterback play last year, they probably had the worst center play in football, which makes it hard for a young quarterback that has mentally capped in the game right now.
Friend. I mean, he's your best friend out there is your center. That's almost one position.
Yep. So that's all those reasons are ones. Also, Drew Lock was the worst quarterback in the NFL last year under pressure, but that's a statistic that historically tends to regress massively year to year. Like you're not seeing the best guys the best year after year. It's a wild number. So you should see Drew Lock just naturally regress to the mean positively this season. So you should see some regression or improvement. That being said, how much, to what extent? I mean, at some point, let's say Drew Lock does improve this year and he plays like, instead of a bottom three quarterback, he's a bottom 10 to 12 quarterback. Well, now you're in this conversation where like, okay, he has 1 year left on his deal. Now what? Are we paying this guy based on what we've seen? Like, then you're back in the same boat. So there's many different ways it goes. I don't think, unfortunately, the least likely outcome is Drew Lock developing into this top 5 quarterback where he's a franchise guy and the quality quarterback that you literally need in the AFC West to go against Herbert and Mahomes.
No, in that scenario, you've got Sam Darnold. You just didn't give up 3 seconds in a first and a top 5 pick to get him. So that's that scenario where if he's still bottom third towards the end of his contract, you move on. You're definitely moving on. And the assumption, and he should improve. I mean, you can assume that he's going to improve some.
To what extent?
To what extent? The assumption isn't that he's going to improve to a certain level. For me, the assumption is the quarterback play in general is going to improve to a certain level because Teddy's there. Because Teddy is a quarterback that is going to be middle tier. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get a middle tier quarterback. So the assumption for me is the quarterback play with the Denver Broncos improves to at least slightly below average, which again, that's a big improvement. That's a big improvement. And with this defense, the running game, and the weapons out there, you can control the game. That's a playoff team. Slightly below average quarterback play is a playoff team for the Denver Broncos.
And I don't want to give any Broncos fans, shivers down their spine, but I think a reasonable expectation this year based on what we've seen the last 5 years is you're going to get a Case Keenum level quarterback play out of Teddy Bridgewater / Drew Lock this season, where it is not fantastic. They're leaving plays on the field. There's a lot of potential that's being limited on the offense, but this is a much better roster than that 2017 Broncos. That Broncos defense from 2015, 2016 to 2017 regressed massively. The offense got old. The offensive line was bad in 2017. This is a much better team around the quarterback position. If you can plug in a, third quartile quarterback like a Case Keenum on here, you got a chance to win 10 games and make the playoffs this year. Now, is that exciting? No. Is that going to get you ranked anywhere but 32nd if you're looking at the quarterback position the next 3 years? obviously not, I guess, ESPN. But that should at least get you in the ballpark for playoff competition. And that's something this team hasn't even sniffed since 2016 and really 2015.
It's crazy to me how many parallels keep popping up with me and the Denver Broncos. I just mentioned Case Keenum. I didn't even think of him as a Denver Bronco.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't even cross my mind. And here he is. And the other one, I was looking at Chad's YouTube channel, and it brought up like a highlighted video. One of the first ones was coming up, was talking about signing Chad Kelly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, when did this happen? Because you've heard me mention before, players that we keep rankings for everything, strongest arm, this stuff, and the ranking of player most likely to get his ass kicked by his teammates, Chad Kelly was top 2. He was top 2. So I've mentioned that ranking before without saying any names, because y'all won't care. Wait a minute. Yes, Chad Kelly was top 2 on that list.
Oh man, Scott. I wish you'd have been here for the Chad Kelly mania, because my eyeballs were going to explode. I was calm down, folks. He had a good preseason game against the Bears, I think, where he had some flash throws, and everyone was just,
he's
crazy
talented.
How quickly he is talented.
He was talented. No, but we were talking Nuke LaLoosh here. He had a 5-cent head. He wasn't nearly as talented as Jay Cutler, and Jay Cutler had decision-making problems. Yeah. But was at least liked by his teammates. Chad Kelly was universally disliked from high school on. That's just the way it was.
He had a really good rap song, though, made about him. So that's about it. Marty coming in here over on Facebook with the beautiful picture of his family there. So Marty Rivera Jr., thank you very much for joining us. And he states, I think we should give Drew Lock one more year and see how he does. If he does play well, maybe we should keep him. If not, we should move on from him. Well, Marty, I think you're going to get that one more year, essentially. But Locke, for the first time, honestly, in his career, he's going to really have to go out there and earn it, because he has legitimate competition.
Well, and Nick, again, that's what's nice, is the assume and the give and all that type of stuff. Nothing's going to be given. And the other part, I'll say this one more time. Well, probably 10 more times by the time we get to September. This quarterback situation is not going to be settled all year. Whoever's a starter is going to be under pressure first throw. So You could see multiple guys. The quarterback competition's going to be settled in camp. No, it's not. As long as they're both healthy, there's going to be a competition all season long, and that should end up being good for the Broncos, unless someone just flat out goes out and wins the job, wins it and runs away with it, makes it his own, gets off to 4 straight wins, and then the talk starts dying down. That'd be a good thing. I don't see that happening, especially with the early schedule being as tough as it is. The quarterback talk is going to be more intense in September than it is in July.
Yep. That's a good one. I'm Falling Sloth coming in here. It is sad how excited I am to hear Teddy could give us Case Keenum level play. This is a franchise. The Broncos were just tweeting about it the other day. 7-18. Oh, happy Elway Peyton Manning Day. Like, this team, this city, this fan base knows Hall of Fame quarterback play. But man, it does not take long to get desperate and have your perspective changed. It's a little Stockholm syndrome going on the quarterback play. Aaron Lynch coming in here. Looks like Cam Akers for the Rams just tore his Achilles. Bad news. Bad news for Los Angeles. And then we also got EJ coming in right where my head went. Broncos should trade Royce Freeman to the Rams for a late round pick now that Cam Akers is out for the season. If the Rams want to send us a conditional 7th round pick that could turn into a 6th if Royce gets, 600 yards, blessed be. Sign me up. That'd be great. Let's do that now.
They'll wait for the waivers. Other than that, they'll wait for the waiver wires.
Yep.
To get a running back. You can sign him. You can sign a running back. Again, that's not a system player. That's a guy you can, we picked him off waiver wire and he started this week. That doesn't happen a lot in other places. That's so I think it'd be tough to get that'd be nice. It's a good idea, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, we saw it just a few years ago with the Rams when they went to the Super Bowl. They picked up C.J. Anderson like week 14, rode him in all the way to the Super Bowl, almost won it. So hashtag running backs don't matter, folks. Sorry, I know it's it's an old one in here, but it's tried and true. Maybe trade Melvin Gordon to the Rams. Now we're talking. Open up for Javonte Williams. I'm not sure. What do you think you could get for Melvin Gordon? Big contract. That Rams team is already bumping heads. Maybe a 4th round pick.
And it's not just a big number. It's also 1 year.
Yeah.
So do they do sign and trades in the NFL? That doesn't really ever happen because you end up having to eat the cap on it.
Yeah. I don't think it happens very often.
Yeah, because
the signing bonuses,
dead cap space and stuff. It's silly.
Michael Ronquillo coming in here, not so silly, over on Facebook saying, "Good morning, Nick and Scott from Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos. Go Michael." Michael's always very supportive. Also super nice on Twitter, always reaching out after the show, saying what he enjoyed. So appreciate you, Michael. Hope you're doing well. EJ coming here with a question for you, Scott. Have you had a chance to scout Spencer the Rattlesnake Rattler yet? And what are your thoughts?
I owe you that one. So I'm going to watch a game. I'm going to watch not just some clips and stuff. I'm going to watch a full game because that's how you scout quarterbacks. Is not, you can get a pretty good idea what receivers and running backs are doing in highlights. A decent idea. But quarterbacks, you got to watch the whole game. You got to see because their management of the game is as important as how they can throw the ball. So I owe that one to you. And by next Tuesday, I will at least watch one game on him. What I did do was post my high school video on Malik Willis that I told you I was going to place.
There you go.
And like I said, I went to that game, and at the time he was committed to Virginia Tech as a defensive back prospect, and that was never going to happen. I watched him throw up a ball about 3 times. I'm like, forget it. This kid's a quarterback, and someone's going to tell him quarterback, and he's going to believe them because he can play quarterback. And kids who play quarterback don't want to move to defensive back.
And Mike is totally calling us out here. We said linebackers, and now we're at 46 minutes in, and we haven't talked about them one bit. Guys, let's just save the linebackers for Thursday. We would not have enough time to talk about them to the extent that they deserve the platform. So I'll let Chad know before he puts this out there. We got sidetracked because that's just how the comment section goes, right? The community dictates where the shows go. And also this was an interesting conversation to get into that a lot of people had things to say about. Clinton coming in here. Clinton Reisig says, we need to win this season. 4 losing seasons is too much to bear. I think that's 5 losing seasons, Clinton. Maybe it was 1 500 season, but absolutely. Tim Greenwood coming in here. Everyone talks about lock ceiling, but where was the talk about field ceiling? He could have brought more than Keenum play. Fields has a huge ceiling. That's why he went, 11th overall, 10th overall. So he could easily end up the best quarterback in this past draft class. He's really talented.
Who's a guy? I'm sure I told you that, the first impressions are the ones that stick. So everybody that I think of as comparisons are old. When I think of guys with rocket arms, I think John Elway. Brett Favre, guys from my teens and 20s. Those are the guys that come into mind. So, the ceiling for Justin Fields, Steve Young. Someone like Steve Young. Steve Young was a fantastic runner with a great arm, winner. He could be a right-handed Steve Young.
Man, I'm not pulling against him, but that would be very bitter if the Broncos didn't figure out the quarterback solution themselves. Kind of like with Josh Allen. I love Bradley Chubb. Big Bradley Chubb fan. God damn it. doesn't mean a thing.
Twice. You've cussed twice on this show today. Man.
What was the other one?
No, you dropped a GD earlier today. I'm like, oh, good. Now I can cuss.
Chad's rule is if it's in the Bible, you can say it. And there's some of that in the Old Testament, I think. Corey Johnson coming in here saying, should we also consider that Teddy is close to a top 10 quarterback, that he can be the starter for us long term? Only 28 years. Long-term quarterback argument doesn't lean towards favoring Drew, in his opinion. Well, man, this is an interesting conversation, one that I honestly haven't even considered. I've always considered Teddy Bridgewater a stopgap, and I guess there is a reality out there where let's say he plays like a top 16 quarterback this year, where it's like, okay, am I paying him like top 10 quarterback money for that top 16 level play, considering now you're paying him a lot of money and you're probably going to lose weapons around him, right? Like this is as good of a offensive nest as you could possibly imagine, given how this roster is set up right now. But a lot of these guys are going to have to start getting paid or leaving. And when you're paying that quarterback like Teddy, you're going to make it even harder to keep some of those guys in there. So I don't know what are you looking for even to consider bringing back Teddy Bridgewater, so that you're changing your perspective for that Broncos quarterback position the next 3 seasons.
When you say top 10, if you get top 10 quarterback play this year, the Denver Broncos are championship, AFC championship. At least, then you start considering long term. He is 28. I have doubts that that's ever going to be in him again, just because of that injury was so debilitating that I just don't think that's going to be in him again. I don't think that's who he is. But yes, if you get top 10 quarterback play and he's on your roster, you re-sign him. Absolutely. It's hard enough to get a top 10 guy. If you've already got one, you re-sign him. And assuming it's not just a fluke, where it's just not some flash in the pan, and I wouldn't expect it to be. If he's playing at a top 10, it means his trajectory is back on the rise, and he's still young-ish for a quarterback. So the answer is, without a doubt, if he's top 10, you re-sign him.
Just backtracking a little bit, what if he's? I think you'd have to pay him top 10 money, but I'm saying what if he is playing at a 16th to 20th level?
Then it's time to move on. If he's playing at a 16th to 20th level, you might re-sign him to a series of 1-year deals. You might bring him back as a second guy, because who else is going to give him that kind of money? Who else is going to sign him to a big deal? Maybe somebody that's in a similar situation as Denver, who, let's say the Falcons need a guy. Matt Ryan's 37 years old. They need a guy to come in and be that insurance policy until they can get their next quarterback. Does Teddy want to be that guy every time, or does he want to find a home? If he's the starter, he could be the starter. If he's playing like that, he could be the starter at Denver for a few years. So you just have to watch out for someone coming in and giving him a big 1-year deal. But if he's, if you're not going to have to worry about him getting paid that kind of money if he's in the bottom third.
Yeah. Yep. You hope not. That's some desperate signings going on there sometimes for some teams at the quarterback position. Mo Ron coming in here with the $5 super over on YouTube. Thank you very much, Mo, saying thanks for the show. Well, Mo, thank you for supporting us and putting your money where your mouth, I guess your fingers are. I guess
where your Mo is.
Put Mo money, Mo problems. Unless you just give it to us, Mo. That'd be great. That's. Guys, we do want to talk about the linebackers, but we're going to save that for next week. Just thinking about it, or not next week, next Thursday. Any final thoughts before we start to wrap it up here? Obviously, the Broncos quarterback position being ranked 32 out of 32 really tanks this whole thing, but it's unfortunately, it's what we've been talking about all offseason, right? You not even get out of the tracks without the quarterback.
My final thoughts on that was ESPN had a good idea with a future ranking of 3 years for the top 32. But I think they ranked their ranking for this year. I think the front office ranking was too low, and the quarterback situation. The Broncos could finish 24th in a power ranking this year if their quarterback play stays at 32, but it shouldn't. The front office play was too low. When you're talking about having the 12th best roster, who we think is a little underrated, but forget if it's underrated or not. If you're ranking an overall roster at 12th minus quarterback, and you've got the most salary cap room in the league, how's the front office 19th? It should start at 12. This team built a great roster. Basically, what they said was they were dumbasses. I cussed. They were dumbasses for not taking a quarterback. That's what it says to me, that everything they did was just so laser focused on the quarterback position that they didn't pay attention to everything else that they were talking about.
Yep. However, they will be proven right if Justin Fields turns out to be a great quarterback, and then Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater aren't the answer, unfortunately.
Again, it also depends on Surtain. If Surtain turns into Champ Bailey, then you're not worried about what Justin Fields does. You're happy.
Let's say that Justin Fields turns into an all-pro level quarterback, and that Justin Fields or Patrick Surtain turns into a Hall of Fame level cornerback. What has more value?
It's not about value. The saying is, it's not the players you miss that kill you. It's the players you take that can't play. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting an all-pro player with your pick at a position of need, especially in this day and age where the quarterbacks are so popular, it's a win. It's a win. You can't play that what-if game. You got to win. Now let's go get the next guy who can play. The guys that you take and can't play, they kill you. They absolutely kill you. But it's on a guy who ended up being somebody else. That happens to everybody.
I agree with you to an extent, but I think at some point you have to take the swing at quarterback. You can't just sit there.
If I'm not going to down Surtain if he ends up being a stud is all I'm saying on that. That's good.
It's exactly how I feel about Bradley Chubb and Josh Allen, right? It's like, in hindsight, you could redo that one. I love Chubb.
There wasn't nearly as much high. I mean, Josh Allen as a prospect wasn't. I hate even celebrating. I hate hearing myself even say this. But isn't as sure a thing as Justin Fields. Like Justin Fields to me was a higher level prospect than Josh Allen. Josh Allen was riskier, I guess, at the time, right?
Yep, absolutely. unknown to an extent. I mean, he had that junior season was incredible. His senior year, he lost like 3 NFL caliber teammates on the offense, and he regressed a lot. And he was just throwing the ball too hard. Like his teammates couldn't even catch the ball. Those Wyoming receivers. So God bless them. They're doing their best, but that's kind of hard to do.
I used to say that about Favre splitting the webbing in people's fingers and stuff when he was throwing the ball. Like, good Lord, he's up there, Chief.
Yeah, he's Josh Allen's got a rocket. So did Brett Favre. All right, guys. Well, I guess the last bit I want to talk about here, the other one I didn't harp on as much, the coaching rank being, what was it, 24th out of 32, 26th out of 32? I think that's a little 29. 29, that's way too low. You have, and I know how deep are these guys actually going on the coaches, but everybody wants the Vic Fangio scheme on defense right now. What he was able to do last year, taking the corpse of that Broncos back seven and leading them to a upper half defense was incredible. And he should be even better this year. The Broncos have Mike freaking Munchak, who's one of the best offensive line coaches in football. Bill Kollar is incredible. Zach Azzani is considered one of the best wide receiver coaches in football as well. That alone should put you up there higher than 29th. Now, if you would put him like 25th or something, given, is Vic Fangio actually a head coach caliber? Is he a coordinator right now pretending to be a head coach? That's a fair argument. But 29th, especially given these other good coaches the Broncos have, especially in the trenches with Bill Kollar and Mike Munchak, miss me with that. I don't agree with that one for 1 second.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't know nearly as much about the coaching situation. Again, you got to rank people somewhere.
Yeah.
And, and part of it is to take a look at the other side. We can play debate because I agree with you, but I'll take the other side of this debate and say, okay, well, we like this roster. We like this roster. We like this roster. What was the record last year?
Yeah. Hard to win with 32 out of 32 quarterbacks.
I know. Again, quarterback.
I know. God,
it's a broken record.
It would be so fun to talk about this show. And I've even really, after the draft, tried to really steer away from the quarterback conversation because we've said it. Every single time we get pulled back to the same, it's like a black hole. It's pulling us right back to the same conversation. But it's that important. I mean, it's that simple and it's that important. It's simple to see. It's not an easy fix. So guys, that's going to have to do it for us for today for our show. We will get to linebackers next week. I'll make sure to let Chad know that we did not get there this week, but we'll get there, or this Tuesday, but we'll get there on Thursday. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. This has been Broncos for Breakfast. You can find Scott and myself at Scout Kennedy for Scott and at Nick Kendell, MHH for myself. While you guys are over there on Twitter, follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Also, follow John Buonabeast at John K MHH. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, first off, click the thumbs up, click the heart reacts. We got some hearts in here. We can get some more in there. There's 66 eyeballs in here, or I guess 68, 69. Click the thumbs up, click the heart react, click the care react. That'd be great. While you're over there, make sure you go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Become a supporter, get involved. It's a lot of good conversations going on. If you're sick and tired of the quarterback conversation, get involved over there and talk about something else. That's what's great about those communities. You get to dictate what you want to talk about. That's what makes it fun. Take control. If you guys are joining us on YouTube today, make sure that you subscribe, like, and share. That's the number one way you can help us outside of the superstar, the super stickers, the super chats. This is completely free to do. And if you'd like the show, that can help us a lot. Go to youtube.com also /C/Scott Kennedy. Follow Scott there. I'm also posting his link there in the chat. Just click that right now. What are you doing? You're doing nothing better. It's Tuesday. You're going to get your second cup of coffee. Scott's got his Malik Willis high school tape up. Go check it out. Click the link. Go to see what's going on with the new quarterbacks and everything else that's coming up this season.
It's solid. Again, you watch that and tell me someone wanted him as a defensive back. No.
Glad he's not playing baseball.
No, that's quarterback.
Future Broncos quarterback. I saw that the Draft Network did an edit of Malik Willis in a Detroit Lions uniform. So they're already starting. Teams that need quarterbacks next year, Lions, Broncos, Eagles, those are the teams that people keep cycling for those edits.
I tell you what, if the Falcons pass on another local kid, there's going to be hell to pay because there's a lot of people down here still mad about, Matt Ryan still being the quarterback and passing on Justin Fields. And Malik Willis is even closer to Atlanta than Justin Fields was.
Well, we'll see. I think the Falcons are going to bounce back some. But man, that defense is not very good. Sorry, Scott. But guys, that's gonna
I don't know. They're secondary. You're talking about a journeyman safety, a rookie safety, a second-year corner, and I think I'm at the other corner position. That's just the DBs.
You guys send us super chats, and we'll get you a cast opportunity for defensive back for the Atlanta Falcons. Scott will get you a tryout. But guys, that's gonna have to do it for us today. Everyone, stay safe. We will see you next Thursday to talk linebackers. Then, unless something seismic happens, that'll be our conversation Thursday. Which possible? Yeah, maybe Aaron Rodgers is traded. Who knows? But hopefully, no injuries. God bless everyone. Knock on wood. Everyone, stay safe. Love y'all. We'll see you next Thursday. Go Broncos.